Tonight on Elon Local News.
Hurricane, how this term affects students from the North Carolina coast.
Learning about different cultures, how food connects Elon students.
And High Five Fridays, turning local police officers into friendly faces for elementary school students.
All that and more.
Elon Local News starts right now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at Elon University School of Communications, you're watching Elon Local News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Samantha Casamento.
And I'm Grace Morris. The official death toll for Hurricane Florence is 32 people in North Carolina. Nearly 70,000 people have asked for federal disaster assistance as areas hit by the storm just begin to recover. At Elon, students' reactions to the hurricane have been mixed, and those affected by the hurricane are seeking both help and empathy. Our Megan Lynn reports.
Just think of my family being together, like we having our family dinners every night after school, and just being with them.
When sophomore Margaret Johnson thinks of her home in Wilmington, North Carolina, she remembers boating and trips to the beach. But when she heard predictions that the worst storm to hit the Carolinas was on its way, those warm thoughts she held for home turned to fear.
It freaked me out because my dad, he normally never gets like scared about this stuff. Like he's like, we know what to do.
While Johnson went to Connecticut, junior Madison Foster was on a road trip to Virginia with friends.
We made a hurricane playlist to listen on the way up and kind of made jokes about it.
During her time away from Elon, Foster wrote an article entitled 15 Thoughts That Flood Your Mind When You Evacuate, filled with jokes about Hurricane Florence. Other students took to social media to post about their evacuation trips, calling them hurrications. Pictures of road trips, home-cooked meals, and even Disney World filled Instagram. Some even thanking the hurricane for the days off. While Johnson saw posts from her friends celebrating the hurricane, she was anxiously waiting to hear from her dad, who decided to stay to watch over their Wilmington home, which sits right on the water.
Every time I'd hear from him, it would be one or two texts a day, super long, just updates, and so that would kind of get me through.
President of Students for Peace and Social Justice, Sarah Jane McDonald, says she was disappointed in posts from students making light of the hurricane and blames it on the Elon bubble.
It's easy to be in that silo of I need to focus on myself, my studies, my clubs. The students who were affected directly, it's on their mind every day.
People and professor Bilal Gander says people don't always realize the impact of their words, and the internet is a breeding ground for this.
You don't have the fear of people reacting to what you say immediately. Nobody would dare say this if I was sitting with you and four others and say, hey, hurricane, this is absolutely not acceptable.
It definitely hurts a little because for someone to think something that could have destroyed everything.
Foster says she didn't mean to hurt anyone who was affected by the hurricane in her article and intended for it to be relatable to Elon students.
I would definitely apologize, but ultimately I made the choice to create the article, and it's my personal belief and opinions.
While Johnson's house survived the storm, she hopes that people who made the comments will open their hearts to the greater community.
It's going to take a lot of effort and people to rebuild North Carolina as a whole to the place that it was.
Megan Lynn, Elon Local News.
If you want more information on how to help the victims of Hurricane Florence, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
And tomorrow, Lucas Peralta will appear in Alamance County District Court after being charged with a second-degree forcible sexual offense last spring. This means a sexual encounter by force or with an individual who was incapacitated. Peralta was arrested and released on a $75,000 bail last June. This is a continuation from a previous court date back in July. Peralta has yet to enter a plea. To follow the story, visit elonnewsnetwork.com tomorrow.
The line at the mail center has been long since Hurricane Florence caused backup in deliveries. Currently, the hours of operation are 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays and 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. Mail center manager Cedric Bozeman says they are working to increase hours during the week and even add Sunday hours.
Another thing what we're trying to do as we seeing this transition is extending the hours, so students can get that opportunity to come and check their mail before. Because like I said, closing at 5 o'clock, I know it's kind of hard for students to get down here to do that. But we realize we're going to have to do something.
The best time to pick up your mail and avoid those long lines is during any scheduled class times.
And if you've walked around the historic neighborhood today, you've probably noticed the fence is no longer surrounding McEwen Dining Hall. We spoke to freshmen living in Sloane Residence Hall right next door to McEwen about their thoughts on the renovation.
I think the noise, like definitely in the morning, I had a 9:25 class today, but they're up at like 8 o'clock making noise, but hopefully that will stop soon.
Food closer, so I don't have to walk all the way to Lakeside.
We're really excited for it to be open. I don't know, I hope it doesn't add to the freshman 15, but who knows.
I'll probably use my entire +7 really quickly, but we're all excited that it'll be just like right outside and it'll be easier to like get breakfast before class and stuff like that.
8 a.m. suck, and I don't even get to go to Lakeside beforehand because I just have to dash to class, but I'm sure I'll take advantage of that before those 8 a.m. from now on.
We reached out for comment on when McEwen Dining Hall will be opening, but received no response.
Hispanic Heritage Month has sparked discussions of academic resources and access for those who identify as Latinx on Elon's campus. From 2012 to 2017, Elon's Hispanic and Latinx student population has grown 3%. Elon's freshman class has 7% Latinx students. The national average of all Latinx first-year students is 19.3%. Sophomore Mackenzie Martinez says that her opportunity and success is bigger than just representation.
I know with me, like, not only I'm like, oh yeah, I want to succeed, like, for myself, like, make myself proud, make my parents proud, but also, like, make, like, you know, that little Hispanic girl, like, who looks on TV and never sees anyone that looks like her, like, I want to make her proud. Like, I'm here to kind of, not just for myself, but I'm also here, like, as a Mexican woman.
You can find the rest of this story in this week's edition of the Pendulum.
According to the registrar, only 12% of Elon students identified as African American or Hispanic American last year. For students who identify as both, on-campus resources and support can be challenging. Assistant Dean of Students and Director for the Center for Race, Ethnicity, and Diversity Education, Tyrone Jean, is a member of the Afro-Latinx community. His parents are from El Salvador and Haiti, so he says growing up they would constantly warn him of struggles he may face being a part of the community.
The messaging that I received growing up was centered around my culture, centered around my race, and so I constantly got messages from them about having to work harder and having to prove myself, not for me, but for others.
Jean says one of the most common problems Afro-Latinx students face can be self-identity. While he considers himself fully Black and fully Latino, he says some people struggle with that concept. He thinks it is important for him to self-identify openly because his experience helped give other multiracial students permission to do the same.
So I've encountered some multiracial students. Right here.
Jean looks at himself as an advocate for students who identify as Latinx and or African American and says he can be a resource for those students.
For some Elon students, this is just another week of class, but for one sophomore, this week means much more than that. Our Brian Ray has the story.
Is president of Project HEAL, an organization that works to raise awareness about eating disorders. Today is the start of HEAL Week. The focus for this year is on recovery, a subject Rossi knows well after being diagnosed with anorexia at 15.
I had to see a nutritionist once a week, I went to therapy once a week, and I had to see a doctor once a week. So again, all of that adds up financially, and I am grateful and fortunate enough that I was able to afford that, but so many girls can't. Which is also why Project HEAL is so near and dear to my heart.
Besides spreading awareness, Project HEAL raises money for those who can't pay for treatment. From the end of the tunnel, Rossi says recovery is the best decision she's made.
Now that I'm confidently recovered and eating well again and I can enjoy my life, I want to support and help those that are struggling still and going through what I went through. Because I hate to watch girls have to deal with that because eating disorders are so hard and even recovery is so hard, but I want to express that it is so worth it to be on the other side of it now.
And now that she's been through recovery, she wants to educate others on her imperfect journey.
Those thoughts obviously still do come up. I don't think that they're ever going to truly go away, but it just depends how you think about it and whether or not you act on them. And so being fully recovered, you may still have those thoughts, but then you could say, hey, this isn't rational. Like, this is my eating disorder talking, and I'm going to tell it to shut up and go away.
Rossi says a strong support system is essential for recovery. Her mission with Project HEAL is to give Elon students that group they may not have.
Being a part of this chapter made me feel like, hey, like, there's other people out there that dealt with stuff that I did, and I could talk about it, and I feel so much more comfortable doing so. So I just want girls to know that we are a resource for them that they can come to and just engage in conversation about it.
Brian Ray, Elon Local News.
Rossi says the organization hopes to raise $500 for the National Fund. She also is planning to hold a fundraiser event in Mosley Center later this week. Visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com, for updates on the events for the week.
This week is National Hazing Prevention Week, and Sparks is hosting educational events throughout the week. Happening tonight at 7 p.m. is a streaming of the movie GOAT, starring Nick Jonas. This movie tells the story of a fraternity pledge who undergoes extreme hazing. And on Thursday, Jim and Evelyn Piazza, parents of Pennsylvania State University student Timothy Piazza, who died as a result of hazing in 2017, are speaking in Alumni Gym at 7 p.m. Be sure to check out elonnewsnetwork.com after the event Thursday for full coverage.
And after the break, we'll see what the Global Education Center is cooking up.
And it's officially fall, but will the temperatures match the season? I'll have your Phoenix 5-day forecast.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. This guy, no, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat?
1 in 5 children struggles with hunger in America. Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes twice a day. They have the time.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
You're watching Elon Local News.
This weekend is Family Weekend here at Elon. The university is hosting over 30 events for siblings, parents, and grandparents. Registration closed at midnight last night, and according to the Assistant Director of Parent Engagement, Kelly Cordisco, over 5,500 people signed up. And for those who didn't register, you can still sign up and check in on Saturday.
For those families who still need to book a hotel, there are a few options still available. For the cheapest option, the Econo Lodge and the Red Roof Inn have rooms available starting at $60. If you're willing to spend a bit more, the Hampton Inn in Mebane has rooms available starting at just over $200. The farther you get away from the school, the more rooms will open up.
It was very chilly outside today. I was not expecting it.
It was so cold. I had to wear a sweatshirt to class today.
I actually did too. I brought out my fleece jacket just for today because I was walking around. It was just a little too cold for my liking.
And it's so crazy because this weekend it was so hot out, so I was just not expecting it.
Yeah, the weather seems to be all over the place, but luckily we have our Cami Banky outside on Citroen Plaza right now. Cami, what's the weather going to be like for the rest of the week?
Well, you're definitely right. Did feel a bit like fall this morning, our first taste of fall, and we definitely had some cloud cover throughout the day, and that's going to continue into tonight. But I would not bring out all of your warmer clothes just yet. We'll definitely see mild temperatures continue throughout the week, definitely in time for family weekend. So taking a look at your Phoenix 5-day forecast, tomorrow we'll see partly cloudy skies with a high of 84 and a low of 68. And then Wednesday, a chance of some isolated thunderstorms, a high of 86, a bit warmer with a low of 68. On Thursday, also continuing with some isolated storms, a little bit cooler though with a high of 72. Friday, at the beginning of family weekend, we'll have some rain, a high of 80, so tell your parents to bring an umbrella or rain jacket with them, and you have one as well. And then Saturday, for the football game against New Hampshire, our home game, we'll see some isolated storms with a high of 69. That is your Phoenix 5-day forecast. I'm Cami Banky, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Cami.
And if you're heading home for fall break, Wednesday is the last day to reserve space on the shuttles to Greensboro or Raleigh airports. Reservations can be made on the university's website, and requests are due by 11:59 p.m. Wednesday night. The shuttles are provided by the university's transportation services on October 10th at 8 a.m., 12 p.m., and 4 p.m. for both airports.
The Global Education Center is now hosting cultural cooking events in the Global neighborhood. The idea behind these events is to allow international students and GEC faculty to share their culture with Elon. The organizer of this week's event, Tobin Finizio, wanted to share a part of his culture with international students. Students cooked quesadillas while learning about the rules, history, and culture of American football. Finizio says the goal is to build a community among international students.
We want them to be able to talk and share what their experiences were before this, because just them being at Elon isn't, and being an Elon international student isn't what defines them. It's what they grew up doing, what they really value.
The GEC plans to hold cultural cooking events like this either once or twice a month.
And our Alex Hager is live in studio to talk about this week's edition of The Pendulum. Alex.
Thank you, Samantha. Well, we have a real exciting edition of The Pendulum coming out on Wednesday, a historic edition, might I say. It is the first ever issue that will be the Hispanic Heritage Month edition, and to top it off, it will be the first ever bilingual edition of the paper. So we're really excited for that. We've got all kinds of great topics within that. We've got stories about the different paths that Latino and Hispanic students have taken to campus. We're going to go further into some stories that we saw today on the show, the story about Afro-Latinos, as well as some more on the achievement gap that those students face. We've got a great profile in the sports section on the Spanish phenom on the Elon men's soccer team, Inigo Bronte, as well as a profile on singer Gina Chavez, who is coming to campus this Thursday. The paper comes out on Wednesday. It'll be on newsstands all across campus. You should definitely check it out. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Alex.
And later we take a look at how laying on the floor, stretching, and centering your mind can get you through the week.
And our Selena Guevara followed some furry friends meeting for a cause.
Birthday.
Tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees start to look for me, I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Got a quarter?
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
You're watching Elon Local News.
The Elon Yoga Club is bringing downward dogs and guided meditation to campus this weekend. Our Rachel Ellis goes beyond the mat to this year's Solstitium Yoga event.
Keep going. For 5. So often we have to show up for other people, for our teachers, for our friends, for our family, but really college is an internal experience.
This Sunday, students from all over campus showed up on their mats at this year's Solstitium Yoga event in honor of the fall solstice. Elon Yoga Club organizing this afternoon of deep breaths and relaxation. Adjunct Elon professor and certified yoga instructor Gretchen Brusahoff teaching the afternoon practice.
Yoga helps people find their balance both physically and mentally.
You might be offered a pose or something that you've never done before, and it might scare you, or it might empower you.
Brusahoff says it's the time off the mat where yoga helps the most.
Life is messy, and things are messy, situations are messy, but we have to go through the messy to find clarity.
And for college students, stressful days can make you feel off balance. Elon Sr. and president of Iron Tree Blooming Meditation Club, Ryan McKinley, leading the meditation. He says while sitting with your thoughts is not as physically strenuous as yoga, the mental pain is sometimes more difficult.
We always talk to ourselves a lot of times in this negative voice saying, oh, I should have done that better. Oh, I'm not good enough for this. I can't really be this. And when you're alone with those thoughts for an extended period of time, it's a lot.
But with the end of every exhale, it all comes back to being present. And in this case, welcoming a new season. Rachel Ellis.
Bow your head humbly.
Elon Local News.
For more information on the event, check out elonnewsnetwork.com and read the story.
And coming up this week in sports, men's soccer will take on William and Mary on Wednesday, while women's soccer will play the College of Charleston on Thursday. Both games are at home and start at 7 p.m.
The softball team plays Lewisburg College this Friday at home. The start time is 4 p.m. And if you don't want to miss the football game this Saturday at Rhodes Stadium, Elon will host the University of New Hampshire this family weekend at 1:30 p.m.
In a world-renowned canine competition made a splash in Graham this weekend. Our Selena Guevara was there and saw the positively impressed by the furry competitors.
A world champion and his best friend.
Ready, Donnie?
Bring it. Donnie and his handler, Katie Ebelhair, were among about a dozen teams from up and down the East Coast who gathered in Graham for an intense weekend that was sure to be no walk in the park. The competition...
That long distance jump, and here we go! Maxie!
Dock diving, where man's best friend jumps, dives, and doggy paddles their way to the Canine Championship.
Where the butt first enters the water, that's what they get judged by.
Come on, Donnie! Donnie defending his title as a two-time Dock Dogs world champ in distance diving.
Good boy! I tell you what, I've never met a dog so focused. Man, when you release Coliseum, you have unleashed the beast.
I absolutely love it. We do anywhere from 10 to 20 events every year. Coming all the way from Charleston, South Carolina, this is one of the closer ones. We've actually gone all the way to Canada for an event before. Come on, Daddy! There's cash prizes, and the competition is rough. You're usually not breaking even, but it's still just the fun. Like, our dogs freak out when we pull up. The bottom line, to have a barking good time. Selena Guevara.
Johnny going huge!
Elon Local News.
It costs between $15 and $30 to compete, and while the winners do get a cash prize, most of the proceeds go to the Special Olympics.
After the break, I take a look at a group making every Friday a little friendlier.
On page 4, that the projections need to be blood. Next Thursday?
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education, what are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else? Or will you dare do something different? Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills. The smarts? Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget. That'd be cool. Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
You're watching Elon Local News.
You might think police officers only catch criminals and fight crime, but I talked to some police officers who are changing that narrative. Take a look.
Officer Drew Barker looks exactly like you think a police officer would look like. Tough. Barker works for the Burlington Police Department, and while you might not know it from the outside, he's got a soft spot for kids.
Oh yeah!
All right, you got it. And while you might think a police officer spends all their time here, he and the rest of the Burlington police officers spend a lot of time here.
It kind of takes you back to when you were, that age, and
Should you even say that out?
Good memories.
Barker means High Five Fridays, something the Burlington Police Department started last year. Most Fridays, the officers go to a local elementary school, make a lineup of officers outside, and high-five the kids on their way into school. Barker says the idea behind it was all about boosting the kids' morale.
I've seen kids who, may not appear to be really happy coming in, but, when they interact with us and, they leave, you can tell they feel good about, the day and everything.
And while the officers have fun, Barker says High Five Fridays make him remember why he became a police officer all those years ago.
I think the majority of people get in this job to want to do good things, to want to make people's lives better. That's why I came here.